Hi Fiona, lovely to meet up with you again and do some further work on your game. Subject to the changes that we're discussing, what we're seeing here during your initial swings are hands that elevate too soon. The relationship between the club and the hands is quite good in the sense that the club does not roll behind you excessively in the takeaway. The club face does not open up to the arc. But you see how the hands elevate way too soon. There's too much upward in the early part of that goal swing. Now obviously you can appreciate as a good player you cannot possibly hit good goal shots if the sweet spot is still on the target line as you complete the goal swing. If we take a little look here at Charlie Wee, demonstrating the hands in aspect of the goal swing. So Charlie's hands are tracing more of an inward path. There's less elevation of the club face or the club and the arms at that point in the swing. Now from there, what you've got to try and do now is start to get the sweet spot in progressively behind you to the top, and unfortunately that lends itself to it tumbling further behind you during the downswing. Sweet spot starting to go behind you, arms now starting to come in, but it's a little bit too late. We're now twisting the shaft, we get across the line, and then the sweet spot now in the downswing starts to tumble more under the plane, resulting in a swing that is now directed too much to the right, which will result in a block unless you close the club face, and that's where the hook comes from. What we see with Charlie is the hands are going to come in, then as the right arm starts to flex, they're lifted onto a higher plane. Now Charlie doesn't need to drop this club on the inside anymore, the club's already inside, so what he can actually do is turn through the golf ball aggressively, knowing that the arms are going to stay in, knowing that the sweet spot's going to stay in behind the hands, resulting in a position that is less to the right. So the swing now is directed ever so slightly right, meaning that he can come through with a much quieter club face. So the tightening up of the shot cone means that, or is done by tightening up the geometry of that swing. We've got a little bit of, on the left with yourself, we've got a touch of the Jim Furicks going on. There's some nice stuff in there, but it's very much upwards in the early part of the swing. So the hands come up too quick, the sweet spot gets way too far above plane, and then the downswing is an act of getting the club back on the inside, dropping under, dropping under, dropping under, dropping under. Right now from there, it's a case of, you know, take your pick. If you're timing it just right, you'll hit some nice draws. If you're not, you'll hit some big pushes and some quick hooks. The move through the ball with the club face is much, much better than when we first met, which is why the overall strike, the overall shot pattern is improving. However, there is still a situation where we're in a position where we do require a little bit of an excessive rotation, and we need to tidy that up. So if we go back more now to the takeaway position, and we look where we were at the start of the session, and we look now, the focus here is on getting the arms in, trying to keep the arms under the cane. Now you can see as you do that, do the hands come in excessively? The hands actually just trace the arc of the swing. You know, if we can keep the club face square to the arc of the swing like you do, and we can have the arc of the swing neutral, then we're going to hit a lot of straight shots. So if you look at the position that club sets in now, much more reminiscent to what we're seeing here with Charlie, demonstrating the pattern in between the two lines. I actually prefer your position to his there. And then we can start to get the club from there tumbling underneath the plane less, and attacking the ball again on plane and therefore requiring much less rotation through the hip. So it's not a case, the hands do need to come in more, but the hands are not coming in excessively. And you can see that, I'll just run this through. The actual swing here. So the focus there for about 3 or 4 swings was just to get the arms in. You start to see that the hands lift less. The club is less outside the line on the way back. We become less across the line at the top. And we tumble under slightly less on the way down. Both those shots were hit well. The movement that you're seeing on the bottom left, long term, is going to require much less timing, much less time on the practice ground, and much more time out on the golf course enjoying yourself. So if we watch what Charlie does, the correct hand path within the model and within any consistent ball striker is the hands and the arms from set up to waist level work inwards and upwards at a steady rate. Then as the right arm starts to flex, the hands and the arms start to work up onto the higher plane, and then the hands and arms work straight down that higher plane. That's an efficient way to use the hands to control the geometry of the golf swing, to tighten up the shot cone. If you've got any questions, feel free to find me an email. I look forward to watching things progress. Like I say, don't think that pulling the hands in is going to make you hook the ball more. It's certainly not. It's going to allow you and facilitate a much better move from the top and through impact, given time and given a little bit of work. Good luck with it, and look forward to seeing you in a couple of weeks' time. Well done.